Do you even remember how to start this thing? Do you even know how to start this thing? How do we get back? I don't have a slogan. Let's just in media res. Okay.
I think I know somebody that has a nice little ditty they might want to sing to the
Oh.
audience.
Well, first of all, I feel like we should set expectations properly. Like the last episode that we recorded was like the last day of school, and this one is more like the first day of school where everybody's just chit-chatting and learning the syllabus. Like we're going to get nothing done today, right?
Yeah, it's going to be loosey-goosey. We're not going to be doing any homework today.
Phew. We just need to catch up on all the stuff that we missed. And what better way than to do this song that I'm making up right off the top of my head and not reading, did not plan at all. It goes a little something like... Protein snacks were heavy-handed, Cracker Barrel got rebranded, then they changed it back and they removed the DEI. Tecovas and Chili's boots, vehicle runes photo shoot, PR package full of snackage mail right to my house. Willow Grace got recognized, no more artificial dyes, now the song can end because it's going on too long. That's all. I wanted to end it out. ED is back for good now. Do you like my intro? I did not finish though.
I think that's the best one we've had so far. I think that if we could pull that into a real song, we'd have a hit.
Yeah, Derek's gonna have his work cut out for him this week and this rest of the season because that was a lot of imagery to throw up to for anybody to understand what we were even talking about.
I'm going to get in trouble because I accidentally made a thumbs up maneuver when you said removing the DEI. So,
boo.
I didn't mean it, guys, I swear.
Well, it's a good thing that this can just be a light episode because I fell out of the practice with reading all the stuff that you send and coming up with genius things to say in response to them. So I think this whole episode is just going to be you telling me something and me going, oh damn, that's crazy. So what's the first story?
Tallow, a Philadelphia restaurant specializing in seed oil-free fried chicken, has recently garnered attention online via a series of viral tweets from the owner lamenting their poor sales. Given the polarizing and politicized implications of beef tallow, netizens have taken to their keyboards to criticize the business and its owner for everything from pricing to hours to accusations about an alleged crypto scam. Tallow has received some support online as well, though, bringing in around $8,000 in donations and plans to stay open for as long as financially possible.
I don't know if I meant to keep this a secret, but you did reveal it in the Patreon Discord. You had a tallow French fry this summer break. Is this true?
I did. I did not mean to. I've been a lifelong vegetarian for like 20 years at this point. Obviously, accidents happen once in a while. This is not the first time I've accidentally eaten like a meat or meat-adjacent product. I did not realize that they were fried in beef tallow. There was a little sign, not on the menu, on like the side of the little food truck at like waist level. Did not see it until I had made another lap, like around the fairgrounds. And I gotta say, they were some of the best French fries I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, potatoes and animal fat are a match made in heaven. And next time you have an accident, make sure you get the duck fat fries. Those are the best.
Yeah, everyone's been hounding me. They're like, "Is this it? Did you break? Are you ready?" And I don't know if I'm there yet, but I gotta say, from a taste perspective, I do understand it. Don't come for me, guys. This is not my RFK arc, but
You have I think you have this idea that like enjoying animal fats is tainted with political bias or something like that. But from a basic restaurant standpoint, you can't call your restaurant Tallow and then not sell any beef options. This guy just sells like chicken tenders and no seed oil. So why did he call it Tallow?
yeah, I mean, it does seem like a strange choice to me to be like a tallow-based restaurant and not have any other beef products on your menu. Although I do get like chicken is king in America right now. Like people want fried chicken tenders. But they were like $17-18 a piece for a four-piece chicken tender, not including fries, and that feels crazy to me.
I don't know about insane. Definitely if it was like a fast food restaurant. But I also want to say like restaurants fail all the time. So it's not really anything special that this restaurant is failing or has failed. And so I want to resist the urge to do like the lib equivalent of go woke, go broke. And it'll be like ditch the seed and you won't succeed.
I do think that a lot of the failure on the part of this business is not really related to the tallow and the seed oil free of it all. When you look into it, they One, they have really strange hours. They're located in a ShopRite grocery store, which, first of all, getting the word out on your location and advertising is going to be difficult if you are located inside of another business, especially if you don't have like great signage on the outside of the business. But the hours for this place make very little sense to me. The grocery store is open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week, and the tallow hours are different almost every single day. They're closed on Sundays, and they range from like 11:30 to 7, from 12 to 6, from 11 to 9. And there's no consistency there. That's got to be kind of confusing for customers. And that alone is going to make it a little bit harder to succeed. The owner is also the only employee. So if you want to have a higher volume of business, you are going to reach a point where that becomes unsustainable for one person who is doing all of the order taking, all of the cooking, all of the packaging. And that's just gonna make things even harder. And they're making everything from scratch, sauces and everything, which is admirable. But I will say, just give people Heinz ketchup. Like, don't make it harder for yourself than it needs to be. I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I firmly believe that some things do not need to be made in house at a restaurant, especially if it's not like a fine dining restaurant. No one cares about your black truffle saffron ketchup and things like that. That's not what they're making. I'm just
Coming out as anti-DEI and pro-slop in one day. Fascinating. There's a gas station next to my house that is attached. It has space next to it for a drive-through restaurant, and that drive-through restaurant keeps changing because people just keep asking questions like, "What is it owned by the gas station? What are the hours?" Like, people are confused in the same way. So I imagine that they're going. Tallow is facing some of the same problems. It is probably unwise to tie a business entirely to trends as well, and like the whole tallow thing is at least somewhat of a trend. Like, you really only do that sort of thing as a last ditch effort to save a pre-existing business, not to start a whole business and anchor it to a trend. Like those Dubai chocolate shops in the mall, or there are businesses that are becoming Bitcoin treasuries to mimic MicroStrategy. That's a company that's a Bitcoin treasury, and now GameStop is doing it because it's like a last ditch effort to be like, look, we're relevant and we're on trend and we can do it. But to start a business and tie it to a trend that much seems like a losing battle. And I feel bad that this person is sending out tweets saying something like, "I've got a baby on the way, and my restaurant is failing." And yeah, again, I'm not trying to do a freak around and find out type of response to that, but it's like, that's notably, restaurants are not the businesses that you want to start when you've got a baby on the way. And that's all I got to say about that. Please tell me what else is in the news.
Cracker Barrel has been under a microscope these last few weeks as they unveiled their new rebrand only to roll it back shortly after. Along with modernizing the decor, Cracker Barrel overhauled its famous logo, much to the ire of folks online who felt that this was a woke effort to destroy its southern charm, resulting in a significant drop in stock value and a stern suggestion from President Trump, leading them to not only reinstate the previous logo, but to quietly scrub any traces of pride and DEI content from their website as well.
When this story first broke, I ran to you like, oh, why does this stuff have to happen while we're on break? But then the story developed so quickly that I was actually relieved. Like, imagine reacting to this story on day one of it breaking, and then like the episode airs 5 days later and it's a completely different story now.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. When I was kind of getting ready for this story, I was like, man, like, this moved so fast. If we had been able to cover this in real time, we would have looked like we were 10 steps behind.
Yeah, and even like the things that people are mad about change, where it's like, okay, this is now like a MAGA thing to hate the Cracker Barrel rebrand, but then like the Democrat official Twitter account is like, we hate it too, and then like lib TikTok is like, we hate it because of capitalism. Actually, it's just like, all right, we all hate it, just why does it have to be this way? Why does it have to be this?
Yeah, of all things, Cracker Barrel is not even close to like the business that I would expected to have become this like hot button, like flashpoint, like culture war issue. I think that Cracker Barrel is maybe the worst breakfast joint to ever exist.
No way. They have those little glass bottles of real maple syrup. Yum, yum, yum.
Listen, I'm in Maine. Everything is real maple syrup up here, baby. I don't need Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel is where you go to buy a Secret Santa gift or to like take your grandparents out for like a beige, salt-free, seasoning-free meal. That's just my opinion. But I do think that this was a very strange one to see. I think it is good for them in the meantime. All press is good press, so to speak. I think This is the first time I've heard about Cracker Barrel in the news in a very long time. So I think that they will be able to ride this wave, whether that's, positives or negatives from, whatever side you happen to be on. But I think that it's going to come and go just as fast as it came.
There's something interesting about the interior shots, like the photos of the reimagined interior. And yes, it does look ugly, but it might have just been because like the lights were too blue, like the white balance wasn't right because it's a very warm interior mostly. But like 50% of Cracker Barrel is the gift shop, and like 40% is informed by the dividing walls between diners because it's just a big open floor with a bunch of like a slatted fake wood dividers. And without being able to see the dividers, I don't really get a vibe for the actual dining room, and I didn't see any of that. I will say the big moment for me where I'm like, damn them, they've gone woke, is it has come to my attention that the little golf tee puzzle game with the triangle of wood, it no longer calls its losers ignoramus. That's how I learned the word ignoramus, by the way, is from playing that game. But now it's like encouraging. It says, if you leave 2, you're rocking the chair, but not the game. Leave 3 or more. No reason to be embarrassed. Try again. And embarrassed is spelled wrong. What the heck?
Oh my god, I did not even notice that. That's so funny. I'm feeling like this might have been an episode that I should have brought Willie South out for. I almost bought a Bass Pro Shop shirt the other day just to help commit to the character, have a costume on standby. I think that this would have been a good one for that. I will say, I looked at pictures of the inside of Cracker Barrel now versus like the old interiors. I haven't been in a Cracker Barrel in like 20 years probably, but I didn't think it looked that different. Everything was like brighter, cleaned up a little like lighter colors, but it still kind of had the same vibe of like vintage ephemera on the walls and stuff. It didn't look like a severe deviation from like the Cracker Barrel norm. And it's strange to me that, people were even worked up over that when other restaurants have made like way more significant changes in terms of their like interiors or branding. Think about Taco Bell when it went from being like yellow and brown Southwest kind of colors, and now it's like turquoise and purple and this sort of like 80s style vibe.
I don't want brighter interiors. I go to Applebee's now. I like seriously, I'll go to Applebee's now. The food isn't even good. It's in fact very bad, but it's dim. And there are very few dim restaurants left. And so I'll take a dim restaurant whenever I can get it. Chiba Hut, notably, way too bright. It's like a stoner themed sandwich restaurant. Too bright in there. Dim the lights. That's my new petition.
A Michelin Guide listed restaurant in northern England, La Popote, has launched the UK's first gourmet water menu, offering 7 premium still and sparkling bottled waters from across Europe. Developed with water sommelier Doran Binder, the menu is curated based on mineral content to pair with dishes and highlight subtle taste differences, winning over the restaurant's co-owner and chef despite initial skepticism. In offering this menu, they hope to cater to health-conscious and alcohol-free diners, elevating water to an Epicurean experience not unlike wine. But don't worry, tap water is still complimentary.
So I feel like 90% of the ire that comes from this sort of stuff is just from the name, because sommeliers are already seen as like froofy people who are making up a bunch of stuff. And so making a water sommelier is just going to like multiply that times 10, no?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that people definitely already have this sort of like stuffy, like, oh, you're just making things up. The first thing that comes to mind is that sommelier contest in Parks and Rec where for April, Aubrey Plaza is just like, it tastes like my grandmother's perfume and blood. And so I feel like somebody describing the tasting notes of water to me could feel a little like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. Like this tastes like pennies. But I do think, I wanted to be a hater about it initially. Like it really stirred up the hate in me for a minute. It makes me think of this old Penn and Teller bit where they are filling like bottled water with water from a hose, and they're going around to a restaurant like asking people what they think of these different waters and like how they taste different and things like that, and nobody knows that it's just coming out of a hose. But on the other hand, people are willing to drop so much money on a bottle of wine out at a nice dinner, and this water menu is not that expensive. I think the most expensive bottle on it was like 20 euros. And that's a lot cheaper than a bottle of wine. And if, you don't drink and you want to feel like you're having a little bit of that fancy experience, like you're buying something to share with the table, I get it. It's cute. It's fun. I wanted to hate it. And I don't think I'm capable of it.
When you said it tastes like pennies in that silly voice, were you saying because most water tastes like pennies to you, or you can't imagine a water tasting like pennies?
Neither. I just kind of pulled that out of my ass as
Oh,
like
okay.
something somebody might say in a situation like that.
Okay,
Um,
because
I
I
do
have
think all
tried
water
some.
tastes different.
Yeah, okay, good, indisputable. Because people are like, "Ew, the tap water here is yucky," and it's just like, those are the same people who are gonna be like, "Well, water tastes like water." No way, everybody knows different waters taste different, and I have a very, very old video that used to be a Patreon exclusive that I posted on the Extranet Shaquille channel. It's called "Tasting Waters with a Celebrity Water Sommelier," and that was a real eye-opening experience. There are waters out there that taste like sweat, like medicine, aspirin. There's so many different types of waters, and this is, it's not for hydration, it's for enjoyment. And yes, the Penn and Teller bit about the hose in the wine glass is revealing that we can be influenced in that way. In fact, my fourth grade science project, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show, was just dyeing different cream cheeses different colors and then surveying my classmates, like, what flavor is this cream cheese? I'm like, oh, this one's strawberry. It's like, this is a well-known phenomenon that if you tell somebody, like, oh, this is a $1 million bottle of wine and the label fell off, they'll be like, wow, this is really good. I love the placebo effect. Yum, yum, yum. I love, having human qualities and being a human. And give me a sugar pill if you can, and hopefully it helps. I love this sort of stuff. And I hate the idea of turning my nose up at it because it's objectively a placebo.
And this still happens with wine, a $200 bottle of wine might not be that good. You might not like it. So like I don't know. I just think that I did have an urge to talk shit at the beginning of this for this, and I understand why people would. It does feel silly to be like, I'm going to purchase a very expensive, salty bottle of water or something like that to go with my dinner, especially when they do have tap water for free. But why are we letting the winos have all the fun, you know?
Yeah, and this may be the first gourmet water menu in the UK, but we have one out here in LA, in America. So if you ever, I forgot the restaurant name, but you can look it up. It is by Martin Rees. He's the water sommelier who headed that up, and you can go try what's available on this side of the ocean.
Joshua Wiseman, one of YouTube's most popular food personalities, is facing a wave of accusations that call into question his conduct and credibility. In an article written by Joe Rosenthal, former colleagues and industry insiders allege that Wiseman has routinely passed off others' recipes and photos as his own, often without credit. Beyond plagiarism, several former employees describe a toxic workplace culture marked by manipulation and inappropriate behavior ranging from violent outbursts to sexual misconduct, raising concerns about the gap between his polished online persona and real-life behavior.
I guess I will open this up by saying that I don't actually like this sort of content because so much stuff, regardless of what it is, sounds really damning or embarrassing when it's presented in a vacuum. Like, can you imagine somebody reading a sext that you sent in court? Like, it's in a vacuum. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's so embarrassing. But I will say that I read the full article right when it came out, and it's not even much of a gotcha where it's like, oh, we caught you in the act of doing something bad, but it's more of just like a repeated, like, oh, brother, this guy really stinks. But I don't know. Then again, if you didn't notice the stink before the article, I don't think you're really paying attention.
I think that, the people that like aren't paying attention are just the people that are kind of like neck deep in that fan base already. Like you're not inclined to pay attention to sort of those little things, the unapologetic cookbook and things like that. You probably got some apologizing to do, Joshy. But I gotta say, like, I liked this because I have always disliked Josh Wiseman on the sheer basis of him being annoying as hell. And I think that, Wiseman haters rejoice. We can all come together and celebrate this moment. But I don't think that this sort of expose is gaining the kind of traction or will gain the kind of traction that would cause him to have any regrets or be at all introspective about his behavior. If you watch interviews with him, he does not seem capable of that kind of introspection. Maybe I'm being a little harsh there, but I just think that somebody who on camera has this personality where he like refers to himself as like papa and daddy and is moaning into the microphone like a phone sex operator when he takes a bite of a burger. Like, is anyone surprised that he's also weird in person? Because I'm not.
I'll say I haven't watched any of the videos in, like, I don't know, 6 years. I'm blocked on Instagram. I think I've been blocked ever since my very first April Fool's Day video because so many people were like, you're making fun of him specifically. But I also don't like this idea of like, oh, this person that I really dislike is finally getting in trouble. Yippee. And like that always bothered me because when something happened, it would be like hashtag David Dobrik is over party. And like it was a moment of joy for people. And maybe it's just because I can picture so many people people who have, you know, a collection of small gripes with me finally coalescing into one thing. Like, yes, he did defend free internships and he did take that one fries thing. And finally, it's all coalescing into one moment where I can say, like, this is why you're a bad guy. But even without that, before I was ever a celeb, you know, I never really liked the idea of people like being yippee, jumping up and down because somebody else got hurt or sexually harassed or something like that.
No, I mean, I'm certainly not about to like pop bottles of champagne to celebrate that Josh Wiseman was a dick to his employees. Like there's nothing worth celebrating there. Like obviously this is all terrible news. I do think that a big part of it is that one, like, recipe plagiarism is a really hard thing to pin down, although I do think we are seeing more and more conversations about this recently, and I can't help but wonder if the attitudes around it may be shifting and people may be more likely to come forward and be like, hey, I really think that you stole my recipe. I don't think there's a lot that can be done in a situation like that other than to say, hey, it looks like you stole this thing, and have people be aware of it. And on top of that, I think another really unfortunate truth about the situation is that because the bulk of this like sexual misconduct was targeted at another male employee, I do think there's a certain subset of people on the internet that are going to shrug it off as just Josh being silly and immature and Ulysses overreacting at these jokes, which I think is regressive and shitty, and anyone that has that attitude about it can shut their mouth.
Yeah, well, for better or for worse, this is like mostly a cultural thing. And I think like the biggest cultural blows to somebody like this is like the meme where it's like, did you know that if you spend $250 making this food and 10 hours perfecting it, you can make a better burger than McDonald's? Like, I think that was the biggest cultural blow to that sort of media versus, you know, actually writing an article listing out all of the bad things that somebody has done. I also thought it was kind of interesting that I didn't see the article itself gain a ton of traction until somebody else posted like a reaction or a bunch of summaries of them like summarizing the article to TikTok, and that like made a bigger cultural shift. And the most important thing that I learned from this is that I would have multiple Lambos if I posted weekly. Did you know that?
And you'd also have a scathing expose written by ex-employee Willow North.
No way, I would do it right.
No, I kid.
Again, with the cultural thing, it's like one thing about making content for kids, which I do think a lot of this is for kids, or you know, respectfully dumb people or folks who are barely paying attention to the screen, is that you do become somewhat bulletproof. Like there have been YouTubers and streamers who commit fraud and real crimes. And like, think about the Paul brothers. Like they will not lose subs, and that's just part of the deal. And so I don't think that like this particular article is going to make much of a cultural difference.
In summation, eat the rich, burn the Lambo.
Or give the Lambo to me. Actually, I don't even want it. Can you imagine the insurance costs on that thing?
Oh God, I just can't imagine like stepping out of that thing when you head into town. Like I don't want to be noticed like that. Although I guess I should shout out Steven from Atlanta for recognizing me in Boda. Speaking of being noticed, thank you for watching the show, Steven. Thank you for making me feel like a celebrity.
How did it feel to get noticed out in the real world for the first time?
Really crazy. It was like I was in the worst possible condition for someone to recognize me in public. I had been like walking around Portland. I was like sweaty, hair's a mess, like, and I didn't know that this guy was a viewer of the show until he said something at the end of the meal. But him and his, I assume, girlfriend were sitting next to me and Dan the entire night, like a foot and a half away.
It makes you wonder, like, did I pick my nose at any point during dinner or what's...
Yeah, it's like, did I say anything that might really come back to bite me here? But he was so nice. I've been riding that high ever since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until you start to realize that you're in the Panopticon forever now. Welcome.
After a month off, I have a couple really interesting products to present to you this week. I have Nicotina, a nicotine-infused energy drink, Kid Coffee, an instant coffee and nutrition drink for children, and She's the Sauce, a line of protein and fiber-fortified condiments.
I'm going to rapid-fire react to all of these because I have my own stuff that I want to talk about, but Nicotina is 6 milligrams of nicotine and 75 milligrams of caffeine. That's not even a nicotine-infused energy drink. That's just a nicotine drink. That's like a big size Zyn and a quarter of a coffee.
Yeah, that's a really crazy number to me. I was never like a Zyn or a nicotine gum user. I used to smoke cigarettes a long time ago. But I think the average amount of nicotine in a cigarette is like 1 to 2 milligrams. So this is like smoking 6 cigarettes while you down a cup of coffee. I can't think of in any world where that is actually a reasonable thing to incorporate into your routine. It does make me
Oh,
think.
counterpoint, bowel obstruction. Continue.
That's very on brand for you. I will say this does remind me a little bit of that one Simpsons episode where Homer grows tobacco. And I feel like this is just like, people already love and are addicted to energy drinks. Like, people are pounding Celsius till they have heart attacks. Like, let's just take it one step further and get them really addicted to it. I think if they added in protein and fiber to this drink, we would have like the meal replacement drink of the future.
And make it taste like grandma. The kid coffee, feel like this might have been invented by somebody who's not a parent, because who wants a luxury product for their kids? Kids spill their drinks. Kids don't finish their drinks. They spit like backwash into their drinks. And so I want them to be drinking the cheapest thing possible. Water, please, and like give them a multivitamin if they need all the extra stuff that's in there.
Yeah, this one really baffled me. It is a Shark Tank product from like a parent and their 7-year-old child. I just can't think of a good reason to like introduce your child to the habit of drinking coffee at a really young age, even if it is like decaf and has vitamins in it. Like, this product is marketed specifically as being for ages 4 and up, which feels very young to me to like make your 4-year-old a decaf latte. I don't think that there's like a good reason to get them started in something like that young. Like, then you're just going to have an 8-year-old kid that wants the full calf coffee.
Well, I guess the only reason is it's a vibe, right? Like if you go to Target and your kid is drinking their own coffee and so are you, but it's not a good enough reason for me to spend $1 per serving on something like this. But
get them a lemonade, make them some chocolate milk, and put it in a cute little bottle. We don't need to give kids coffee.
The She's the Sauce is really interesting to me. The top 2 ingredients are water and whey isolate. So it's like a protein drink sauce, because there's like avocado oil in after that emulsified into it. But I don't understand why the branding is so sexual. There's like people in bed eating and some sauce on a naked butt. And I also don't understand, like, what is the pun in the name? Is it supposed to be She's the Boss?
That's what I thought too. It still feels like a bit of a stretch. I think that this is a very strange product, because something like this, like a protein fortified sauce, to me, I would imagine the target audience generally would be like the gym bros that are eating broccoli and unseasoned chicken breast every day that just need something to put on it to make it different and a little bit more bearable. But it is this very like feminine, sexualized, like hot girl product on their website. And I don't see it being that appealing to the subset of people that I think would use a product like this the most. I love that you pointed out the ingredients list, though, because it really does just sound like it's like a ranch-flavored protein drink, which I think is disgusting. Like, you could very easily make this product at home with water, unflavored whey protein, oil, and a Hidden Valley Ranch packet. I think you could get very close. And it's
Maybe I'll try that.
$14 a bottle.
Actually, maybe you'll try that.
Yeah, if I have to.
I'd love to say that I can't see it succeeding, but I've been proven wrong so many times. And one of the products in my fridge right now is the Molly Boz AO Mayo, because they sent me a box of it for free. It did split in the heat of the Arizona summer, so I haven't tried it yet. It's just like an oil slick, but I did get several PR boxes. And I did want to show them off. I'll just show off one at a time. That way I can stretch this out as long as I can. But there's a product called Cheery Lane. And kind of fascinating. These are popcorn kernels that are suspended in cacao. What is it? Cocoa butter? Cocoa butter. So it's like a little pod that you pop into your stove. But what I don't understand is, like, what's the Venn diagram of people who want convenient popcorn, like ready to go, but are also willing to do it over their stove, but aren't like just buying bulk popcorn to make over the stove? What do you think?
Yeah, it kind of feels like a very strange in-between product there. I can't. Like, my first thought is like, oh, like, this is for the anti-microwave crowd. This is for the my microwave is giving me cancer crowd. But I feel like if it's it's packaged in like a little puck of oil. The people that feel that way are going to be like, "Where's my beef tallow popcorn?" You know?
I will say that, like, getting PR packages now, like, the vibe, the branding, I finally understand, like, oh, it's exciting to get things and to buy things. Like, they're writing me a letter that says, "Hi, Victor." For me, there's nothing more nostalgic. And there's no way that somebody, like, typed this out for me, but a lot of these products are very vibey. I will say that so far, the butter popcorn, the butter flavor is the only one I can tolerate because the cocoa butter itself does have a very specific flavor, and it is not like butter. It's like halfway to white chocolate, and it's just like kind of filmy. And even on the instructions, it'll say like clean the pot as soon as you can because it's like a very filmy, sticky, clingy oil that I don't really enjoy.
I could see that flavor being good for maybe like a kettle corn, but trying to incorporate that with butter or another savory flavor sounds like it would be difficult.
I just saw on the side of the box, it says, why cacao butter? It's one of the most expensive options, so we have to really love it to use it, and we do. Not only does cacao butter have a sophisticated taste, it's also what many consider to be a good fat, among other health benefits. I suspect it's because it's the only fat that will like stay solid at room temperature.
Yeah, the only other fats that I can think of in a solid form like that would be like beef tallow and, coconut oil for 6 months out of the year. I I can imagine something like that, like, at a certain point, if it does get really hot in your house, you go to open the package and it's just like fallen apart inside the thing and you have to pour it into the container on your stove. And it just feels like it's probably too expensive for what it is my guess. But not if you got it in
Right.
the mail for free, right?
Yeah, the box does say keep out of direct sunlight. And it's like, okay, worst case scenario, it all falls apart and then you just pour it into the pot. But then you're just like, well, what is the point of the product then? Because it could have just been that to begin with. And that's what I'm so fascinated by is like when I'm getting free products, I want to share them, but I don't want them to come off as ads. And so like if I shared it and was just like, hey, everybody, check this out, they'd be like, what are you talking about? It's $14 a pot. I have no idea what it costs. So I want to do like a series on my channel or something where it's just like, free stuff kitchen where I just talk about how good something is without knowing the price. But I don't know. I got to figure out what to do with all this free stuff.
I feel like the only situation I could see a product like this actually feeling convenient and handy is like maybe when you're camping, but at that point, most people are just going to buy a little thing of Jiffy Pop to pop over the fire anyways.
We'll see if it reaches its target demographic or if that demographic even exists. But it's a good find regardless. And it's my understanding that you actually have a new section to debut on the show.
I do. So before we went for our summer break, I tried to get some questions in from the Discord. I'm still working on an appealing name for this segment, but for right now, we're calling it What's Eating You. People can send in comments, questions, concerns, hot takes, anything you want us to respond to here on the show. And our first ever submission comes to us from our Discord member, Safe. What's good, ED? The D stands for Derek, and I'll leave the E up to interpretation. There should be a 10% discount for sitting outside at a restaurant. Unless it's perfect weather at a beachside restaurant, it's almost always a worse experience. Why do I have to pay the same price to sweat at a wobbly table while I fight bees and listen to traffic? Plus, it'll free up the inside as more cost-conscious patrons choose to sit outside. As a bonus, discounts seem to make people tip more, at least they do for me, so the waitstaff will enjoy extra tips because I understand they don't like serving outside tables either. What do you guys think? Safe from the Discord.
I guess the way I see it is that the punishing seating positions are a self-regulating organism, right? Like you only sit at the bar if you really, really need to be seated ASAP and you get to the place and they're like, well, there's space at the bar. Do you want to take that? And the same goes for like the communal table or the tables outside in an unsavory location. And so there's no need to mess with the price. It's a self-regulating organism and it's working perfectly as intended as it is.
I think I'm in the minority here. If I have the ability to sit outside at a restaurant, I would prefer that 9 times out of 10. I don't know if that's just because, in a really busy restaurant, I tend to get like a little overstimulated with all the noise. So I like to be outside where it's a little quieter, a little calmer. I will say you got a good point about the fighting with bees. I was outside at a coffee shop near me that I really like recently and was going to sit down at a table before I realized there were like hundreds of yellow jackets swarming around. But I don't know that I think that that's worth a 10% discount.
I will say the best part about eating outside of the restaurant is going to the bathroom inside of the restaurant mid-meal, and then you're just like, ooh, I'm transported to this different place, and nobody knows that I'm even here. Like, you're not somebody who's being seen. Is that something that people experience?
Why is your favorite part of going anywhere always going to the bathroom?
That's where I spend most of my time, I'm sorry to say.
Oh man.
I will say I did have a fancy dinner last week and I did not order a cocktail. And it's just like when cocktails are $15 and you don't order two and instead order zero.
Ah!
Gosh.
Ah!
Ah,
Sorry, spider. Oh my
ah.
god. Oh my god, I'm so
See?
sorry.
Inside isn't safe either.
I I really tried to do that quietly. I realized it before it happened, but then it jumped on me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Sorry,
Um,
everybody.
you're fine. Um, so if somebody does want to send one of these questions, where do they send it to? Are you paywalling it behind the Discord?
I did initially keep it paywall just because I didn't want to get overwhelmed at first if there was going to be a lot. But you can send your submissions to willow@internetshaquille.com. And, give me your hot takes, give me your questions, your cooking advice, give me the weird, the wacky. I'll take any of it.
Thank you, everybody, for continuing to patronize us, even though we've been off of your feed for so long. It's good to be back, and we will see you again next week. Eaters Digest forever. Woo! Woo!
Bye, guys. Have a good week. Like, subscribe. We've been gone for a minute, so hopefully you didn't forget about us. Hit that bell, maybe. That's right. Get 'em.
Bye! Eaters Digest is published every Friday on YouTube, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. You can also get a text-based version delivered to your email every Friday at patreon.com/shack.